everyone, I'm Sara Sach and welcome back to my crochet channel. Today is the first Monday of the month, which is April. And so today we're going to do our fourth 6-inch square for our 2024 year-long crochet along. And what we're doing is each month we're stitching up a 6-inch square. We're using our birthstones as a sort of inspiration for it. It's not going to be exactly it. It's not always going to be the exact colors. It's just an inspiration for a different 6-inch square each month. Now you'll want to do maybe 2 or 3 of each square. It's up to you. At the end of the year, we're going to make them into a beautiful blanket, but you don't have to make a blanket if you don't want to. You can do whatever you want with them. All right, so this was our January garnet. This was February amethyst. This was March aquamarine. And for some reason, this is coming out just a little bit darker on camera than I wanted it to. But this is a aqua color. And then today's is April diamond. And so we're doing a square that has a diamond in the center. Now again, these are colors that I'm using. You can use whatever colors that you want to. Each of the 6-inch squares has a blog that has pictures and the written video. And you'll find that under each one of the different YouTube videos in that description box underneath. Now, this one is this month's, the April diamond. And so, of course, you're going to find that written pattern with pictures down underneath this video in that link. So, for our April diamond square, you're going to need 2 colors. I'm using white and blue. This one I made the diamond in white with blue on the outside to make that diamond pop out, and then I trimmed in white. But I thought for the demonstration, I want to do it in the opposite. So I'm going to make my diamond in the powder blue, and I'm going to make the trim and the edge actually in the white, and then come back and do the trim in the blue. So it's going to be the opposite of this one. And I'm doing this because I want you to understand that you don't have to do it the way that I do it. You can do this one any way that you want to. The only thing that I recommended is that you do your diamond a different color than your background color so that it'll help that diamond stand out. All right, now I'm using all acrylic medium weight number 4 yarns. And also, you don't have to use solids. You can probably, add in some variegated in here, or make this a mottled one or speckled or whatever that you want to do. The purpose of these is sort of to use up some of those leftover yarns that you have from other projects and just do mix and match and make a beautiful, colorful blanket or whatever project that you want to make with your squares. All right? And it takes very little for each one. You can see I just got a tiny bit here, not even an ounce of each. We're going to stitch today with our H hook. Now, some of the blocks we'll be doing in an I hook because I wanted it to come out just a little bit more so that they measure a little more uniform. And so if it's something that's a little tighter, I've gone up a hook size to an I, which is a 5.5. But for this one, we're going to do a 5.0 millimeter, which is the H hook. And again, everybody's tension is different. If your squares are coming out too small, go up a hook size. If your squares are coming out too loose, go down a hook size. All right, so then after that, you just need your scissors and a needle for weaving in ends. We're going to begin with our slip knot. We're going to chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and join this chain 5 into a circle. And snug that down, and then tie that stay knot. Now again, you can do your beginning circle in whatever method works best for you. So we'll go in, pull up a loop, and chain 3. We're going to stitch 2 double crochets, and chain 2. Now our chain 3 counted as 1, and we stitched 2 more, so we have 3 double crochets, chain 2. So now we're going to stitch 3 double crochets, 1, 2, and 3, and chain 2. And you'll notice I'm stitching over my tail of yarn. That way we can close up that hole in the center. All right, so now we're going to repeat this 2 more times. 3 double crochets, 1, 2, and 3, and chain 2, and 3 more double crochets, 1, 2, and 3, whoops, and chain 2. So now I have 4 sets of 3 double crochets, chain 2. I'm going to join to that chain 3 with a slip stitch. I'm going to slip stitch in the next 2 double crochets, and then slip stitch in that next chain 1 space and chain 3. All right, now I'm going to turn this over and just gently pull on that yarn. Grab my needle and go ahead and weave this in. Now, you can wait till the end of your square or even the end of your blanket to weave this end in. But I want to do it now. I'm going to gently pull on it so it closes up that hole. Then I'll go around, and then I'll turn around and go back the other way. Make sure it's nice and secure. All right, pull it through there and clip that off. So for round 1, we have 4 sets of 3 double crochets, chain 2. We slip stitched in the next 2 double crochets after we joined, and then slip stitched in the chain 2 space, and then chained 3. Let's do round 2. So our chain 3 counts as our first, and we're going to stitch 2 more double crochets, 1 and 2, chain 2, and 3 more double crochets. And you'll notice that it looks just like a regular granny square, and these first 2 rows do. Chain 2, we'll go to the next corner, 3 double crochets, 1, 2, 3, chain 2, and 3 double crochets. And chain 2, and then we'll repeat this on these last 2 corners. I have repeated that in those last 2 corners. So we have 4 sets of 3 double crochet, chain 2, and 3 double crochet, chain 2. All right, so here's my last chain 2. I'm going to join to that chain 3 with a slip stitch. Then we're going to slip stitch in those 2 double crochets, 1, 2. Then slip stitch in the chain 2 space and only chain 1. This row we're going to be doing single crochets. So in this corner we're going to stitch 2 single crochets, 1, 2, chain 2, and 2 single crochets, 1 and 2. Now we're going to stitch a single crochet in those 3 double crochets. So 1, 2, 3. We're going to chain 2 and then come over here to these 3 double crochets and stitch a single crochet in those 3. 1, 2, 3. All right, now we're going to stitch 2 single crochets in the corner, chain 2, and 2 single crochets in the corner. And then we'll just repeat on this side what we did over here, and then repeat that all the way around. So for round 3, we stitched 2 single crochets, chain two single crochets in each of the 4 corners, and then we stitched a single crochet into 3 double crochets, chain 2 and 3 double crochets, and we repeated this all the way around. And so now we're going to join to that first single crochet with the slip stitch, and we're going to cut our yarn. Whoops, there we go. All right, now we'll just go in that next single crochet and pull that loop to the back and tie that off. All right, now we can weave that in now or we can weave it in later. It doesn't matter. So we've made a square. We're going to turn it and make it into a diamond. We're going to take our color and we're going to come to the side. It doesn't matter which of the sides that you come to. You're just going to go in that chain 2 space. Join in your yarn and chain 3. Now we're going to stitch 2 more double crochets, and I recommend as you stitch these, you stitch over that tail of yarn. That's just going to help it stay put till you get a chance to weave it in. All right, we're going to chain 2, and then we're going to stitch 3 more double crochets in this same chain 2 space. And so what we're doing here is forming a corner on the side of our diamond. Okay, where normally we put our corners in the 4 corners, we put it on the side. So now we're going to chain 2 and we're going to come to the corner. All right, so in this corner, in that chain 2 space, we're going to stitch 2 double crochets. 1 and 2. And then chain 2. Now we'll move over to this next chain 2 space on the next side and we'll stitch another corner, which is 3 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, chain 2, and 3 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, and chain 2. Now you may notice it looks just a little bit wonky on this row. Don't panic, all right, because it's going to straighten out. I grabbed my mat just so that you can see it a little bit better. So here's our corner. We're going to go to this next chain 2 space, stitch 2 double crochets, and chain 2. Then go to the next chain 2 space on the side and stitch the 3 double crochets. Chain 2 and 3 double crochets. And again, it's going to look just a little bit odd at this point because we're making a diamond into a square. Okay, and so our corners are going to be on these sides instead of in the corners. All right, so we'll do this last side and then join back to our chain 3. This is the way that row 4 should look. You've got your 4 corners that we stitched in the sides of our diamonds, and then the sides of our squares are stitched in the 4 corners. It's kind of a antique-y look, isn't it? So here's our last 2 double crochets, chain 2. We're going to join to that chain 3 with a slip stitch, then slip stitch in those 2 double crochets, and slip stitch in that chain 2 space and chain 3. All right, so row 5 is relatively easy. Once you get past row 4, piece of cake. All right, so we're going to stitch our corner in a corner, so 3 double crochets, chain 2 and 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and whoops, get in there, 3. We're going to chain 2 and stitch 2 double crochets in the chain 2 space. 1 and 2. Chain 2 and stitch the next 2 double crochets in the next chain 2 space. 1 and 2. Alright, some more yarn out here. And chain 2. Then we'll go to the corner and stitch a corner. 1, 2, 3 double crochets. Chain 2 and 3 double crochets. And chain 2. All right. Then 2 double crochets in the next chain 2 space. Chain 2 and 2 double crochets in that next chain 2 space. And chain 2. All right, so let's take a look at it. You're seeing that your diamond is becoming a square. And then we'll just complete this on these next 2 sides and join back to our chain 3. I have completed those last 2 sides. Here's my chain 2. We're going to join to the chain 3, slip stitch in the next 2. There we go. And slip stitch in the chain 2 space and only chain 1. Now, we're going to change colors back to our blue. Although you could put in a third color if you want to. It's totally up to you what colors, again, you want to use on your diamond. All right, so we're going to bring in our color, and this is going to make a nice trim. And we're going to do a single crochet trim. So in the corner, we're going to stitch 2 single crochets, chain 2, and 2 single crochets, 1 and 2. And now we're going to single crochet in each of those 3 double crochets, 2 single crochets in the chain 2 space, 1 and, oops, get in there. All right, now 1 single crochet in the next 2 single crochets, 2 single crochets in the chain 2 space, 1 single crochet in the next 2 double crochets, 2 single crochets in the chain 2 space, and then 1 single crochet in those 3 double crochets of the corner. All right, and that brings us to the corner. 2 single crochets, chain 2, and 2 single crochets, 1 and 2. And we're just making a nice even row of single crochets across. And then we'll just do this on these 3 sides. This will give us, like I said, a really nice even trim on our square. But then it also gives us a nice trim when it comes time to, join the 2 squares or 3 squares or how many squares we're doing together. And it just makes it lay pretty. Alrighty, single crochet in these last 3. And that brings me to the corner. So you're going to continue this on these last 2 sides and then join back to your first single crochet. I have repeated that on all the sides now. So I'm going to join to that first single crochet and I'm going to cut my yarn. All right, I'm going to grab that loop from the next stitch under, pull that loop to the back, and we'll tie off to the back. And that will give us a much cleaner appearance on the front. Now, you'll notice that it's not exactly a square. It's a little bit wonky, right? So if you want to block your squares, you don't have to. I like to, just because I think it makes it easier when it comes time to put them together so that they're all pretty much the same size. But if you want to learn how to block your blocks, block your squares, I showed you how I do that on the garnet square, the very first one, at the end of the video. So you can just go and click on that video and go and, fast forward to the end of it, and I show you how to block your squares. It's super easy. You just pin it on, spritz it with a little water, and let it dry. Okay? All right, so this is our diamond square for April, because April's birthstone is a diamond. And remember, you can do them in any colors that you want. You don't have to do them in the colors that I do.